as you can see, I've got the bike off the bench. That's because I'm prepping to ride it. I really don't have that much more to do to be able to ride the thing. And I think the best way to tune it is to actually get it on the road and data log a few rides. So that being said, we've done a few things since the last video. Last video we made the digital dash, which has been working great. I figured out the Wi-Fi issue, so now instead of using my home Wi-Fi that's a little spotty out here in the garage, I just use a hotspot on my phone and it connects perfectly. I can tune straight from the computer and it happens instantaneously. It's great. The only thing I haven't figured out is how to use the touchscreen to activate certain things like data logging or two-step or things like that. So I still have to figure that out. I rebuilt the front brake and made a brake stay. The original brake stay wouldn't work because these are not the forks that came with this bike. So knocked one of those out and made a custom brake cable. On the back here, I just installed the chain guard, especially since we're going to be riding it. I don't really want my jeans getting caught in that. I do need to make a little guard for the pulley because my knee comes real close to this pulley. So that's something I still got to do. And the main thing that I got done is we now have a steel lower pulley, so I don't have to worry about it getting torn apart anymore. I think that's about it. Other than that, it's pretty much the same as it was when you last saw it. But today we're going to be doing a little bit of troubleshooting. Like I said, in the last few weeks, once in a while, I've been able to come out to the garage and fire up the bike and try to dial in the tune. And it's going okay, but the main problem I'm having is one of two things. So the first thing that's been happening is I'll get a lopey idle. It'll just rev up, rev down, rev up, rev down, and there's no changes I can see to the timing. And the fueling is steady. So that's been driving me crazy. The other thing that's been happening is the bike will be idling fine and then all of a sudden rev up and die. I don't understand. So that's been fun. So I'm not 100% sure if it's within the tune, and it very well could be. I'm not an EFI tuner. I'm still learning how to do this. So it might be in the tune. It's something I'm not seeing, but it kind of seems like a vacuum leak. And even if it's not, I want to rule that out so I don't have it in the back of my head thinking that I'm just kind of chasing my tail. So today I'm going to show you how I am going to find this vacuum leak, or attempt to find this vacuum leak. So I did the old school method, or I tried the old school method of just spraying some carb cleaner on different points that may have potential vacuum leaks to see how it changes it, to see if it changes the engine RPM. And if it doesn't, then you don't have a leak. And if it does, then you do have a leak. But I couldn't really find anything. So my last ditch effort was to use the smoke method. So pumping smoke into your intake and seeing if smoke comes out of any points, then you know you have a vacuum leak. But I didn't have a smoke machine, so I made one. So over here, this little alien looking contraption is our smoke machine. So all it is a glass jar with a rag that's soaked in baby oil, and then a soldering iron that's epoxied into the top, and I have 2 ports coming out of it. Now one of these ports is going to compressed air, and the other, this one, will tie in right here to my intake plenum. I'll include the instructables on how to make this in the description below, but it's real easy, and this is just a cheap soldering iron off of from Harbor Freight, and the rest of it I just had parts laying around. Now it's not perfect, this leaks a little bit up here, so I kind of have to sort that out eventually. But so as you can see inside, I have it on, I've had it sitting here for about 5 minutes, so there's smoke building up in it, and all it's doing is it's soldering iron, it's heating up, it's burning that mineral oil in the baby oil and creating smoke. So if I give it a little air, we should have smoke come out of. It is not going to want to focus on that. There you go. So we're going to pump that into our intake, pressurize it, and see if we get any smoke coming out. So the first thing I want to do is, I think we might have if we have a vacuum leak, it might be around the injectors, because if you remember back when I made that, I didn't really have the right tools to drill those out. So maybe around the injectors, but essentially what I'm going to do, this line here, this line comes out of the intake plenum and goes to our fuel pressure regulator as well as our map sensor. So the first thing I'm going to do is take this line off like that. So now we have a port going right into the plenum, and I'm going to hook the smoke machine right into this port, push smoke into it, and the idea is if you have a vacuum leak, you'll see smoke coming out, and wherever it's coming out, that's where you have a vacuum leak. So first thing I'm going to do is put it in here. Ideally, and I'll probably still do this, I'll seal the throttle body on the other side so it can't escape through, but it'll have to push past the supercharger, the clearances between the lobes. It's not going to really want to do that as much, but I'll still seal up the throttle body first, and then we'll give this thing a shot. So I have it connected up to our intake plenum, so I'm just going to start pumping smoke into it and keep an eye on it and see if we can see any leaks. I'm actually really surprised how much air pushed past that supercharger. So it may not be the most efficient blower on the planet, but I don't see smoke anywhere else besides right around the throttle body, but I think it's seeping past this cellophane. So from the looks of it, we don't have any sort of vacuum leak between the throttle body and the intake plenum, which is good. So the only other spots we could have one is actually where this line goes to the fuel pressure regulator and the map. All right, so now I just have the smoke machine going directly into the fuel pressure regulator, so we can see if we're losing any vacuum through the regulator itself. So I'll give it a little bit of smoke. That seems to be good. So the last place to check is at the map sensor.
I'm not seeing anything.
All right, so after all that, it doesn't look like we have a vacuum leak, at least when it's cold. So the last thing I want to do, my last ditch effort, just to verify we don't have any, is to get the bike up to operating temperature and then shut it down and try this all again. And the reason being is if when it warms up and things expand, we create a vacuum leak, I want to check that as well. So I'll fire it up here shortly after my daughter wakes up from her nap, just so I don't wake her up. And yeah, move on to the next step. Alright, got the bike warmed up. Of course now it's not doing what it was doing before, and the only thing I can think of is when we disconnected those lines from the plenum, I did square them off again with the little tube cutter just to make sure they were square. Because if they're angled at all, you can get a leak. So I squared them off, put them back in. So maybe we had a leak there, and I ended up fixing it as we were going through and checking everything. But the bike's warm. I'm still going to do a check now anyway, since we're already here. So I'll get it hooked back up and see what we got. So it looks like we don't have any sort of vacuum leak, which is good. It's one thing we can check off the list. It just means that whatever issue I am having is probably in the tune, which makes sense. I'm new at this, so I'm sure there's something in there a little out of whack, but we'll get it dialed in. However, it seems like when I fired it up just now, it's not having an issue now. So I don't know, like I said before, if we fixed it when we were messing with the connections, but it seems pretty happy. So that being said, the next video, which I'm hoping is in the next few days, will be me riding this thing, which I'm really excited about. I'm just waiting on a camera that I can put on the bike so I can actually film while I ride, because right now I have no way to, I'm not about to try to hold my phone and ride. So that should be here in the next couple days. But yeah, a little bit of a shorter video, but I appreciate you guys watching. Until next time, have a good one.